Let's get started. Thanks very much for joining the webinar session. We're going to discuss the waste management and circularity impact theme that was recently launched in Iris Plus. So hopefully you're looking at my screen and my slides. Sorry for the date here, that's wrong. We had a couple of more webinars earlier on, but assuming you do, please let me know if you don't. Just to introduce myself first, I'm Panagiotta Balfousia. I'm the director of Iris Plus IMM here at the GIIN. Have been in this role for around 2 years and have a background within investment management with sustainable and impact investments over, well, quite a number of years now. So I'm very excited to introduce you to this new theme on Iris Plus. And maybe not sure how much you're aware of Iris Plus. I will not go into too much detail about the logistics, but definitely at the end of the session, you will have quite a good impression and understanding about what other resources you can find there and how to access them. And important to note that Iris Plus is free to access, so it's online. You can go to iris at the GIIN.org and you can sign up. In fact, I encourage you to do that during this session. If you just Google Iris GIIN, you will find the website, and all you need to do to sign up is put in an email, and then you're able to access the resources. And the main purpose of Iris Plus is to support investors, but also investees and other actors to understand what information they might want to look for in order to gain a comprehensive picture of their impact performance. So the resources, there are a number of resources, but they really are centered around measurement. So moving on to a little bit about the background of this waste management and circularity impact theme. It was developed with support from IKEA Foundation and the Aspen Network of Development Entrepreneurs, together with a number of practitioners over several months, as well as a technical partner that work together to create this resource that we'll discuss with you today. And just as a very introductory background, the theme views waste management circularity as two aspects that need to work together, have to work together. Waste management, on the one hand, to really tackle the huge amount of excess waste that we're currently generating as societies, but also incorporating circularity principles to actually tackle the root cause of those waste and to reduce the waste per se and what we consider waste as well. So those two aspects you will find reflected in a lot of the material. Next, I want to discuss actual resources and hopefully give you a good impression and idea of, for your specific purpose, what might be the resources you want to access. Before I do that, however, I want to ask you a question, and I'll do that as a poll, but you're really also welcome to unmute, and we're a small group, so please feel free to interact. So this first question, oh, sorry, wrong question. We'll come to this though. And okay. This first question asked you to consider, in terms of impact measurement and management, what are the topics that you encounter more in your work, and why are you here actually in this webinar? Is it more to try and understand how to integrate impact in your strategy, in your goal setting, how to define KPIs? Is it around how to understand your performance or how to report to your stakeholders? And it could be a combination of these as well. So I'll give another few seconds for you to consider these options and answer. You can select multiple, and then we will see the results. Okay. Another 5 seconds. This one hasn't responded. View, but that's fine. Let's see the results. So, and this has been constant actually throughout the webinars. There's a mix of reasons that why participants join this type of webinars, and actually why what type of roles impact measurement and management serves. And this is very much reflected in your answers. But I think it's interesting that performance measurement is at the heart of that. Performance management is at the heart of that. And hopefully a lot of the resources that we will discuss today. Oh, I haven't shared the results. I'm sorry. So here are the results. Probably you can see them now. Performance management is at the top, but there's all these options selected. So let's go into now back into the resources and how these may support you in performance management, but also in some of these other aspects that we discussed. So what we will find in RS Plus, and we'll go into the website very soon so that you can see how you can navigate and look through the resources, how the impact theme, any impact theme, how the waste management circularity impact theme fans out in RS Plus is that we disaggregate, the broader topic into strategic goals for, in this case. So we try to envision actually what should be present in the world in order for waste management circularity to be a topic that's effectively tackled from a sustainability perspective. What needs to be there? So we're looking at minimized waste. We're looking at optimized infrastructure for waste management. We're looking for optimized resource use. And we're also looking at just and equitable practices for workers in the space. So we have 4 strategic goals. We'll go into those. And then we disaggregate those 4 strategic goals. We break them down into outcomes. What needs to actually shift in order for those strategic goals to be achievable, to work so that we can actually progress there. And there could be there are a range of outcomes that are relevant. That could be related to recycling. It could be related to use of raw virgin material. It could be related to lifetime extension practices. We will see those. So the outcomes that you will see are really meant to help you identify, is the activity that I'm currently doing or that I'm investing in, can I see my activity reflected as one of those practices, one of those practices that really shifts the world towards the desired end outcome. There are a number of evidences. If you're looking especially at defining your strategy and articulating your strategy to stakeholders, you might find useful to have peer-reviewed references and reports that make the case for you that actually, yes, this outcome could be recycling or lower use of virgin material or others is really related to a better conditions for overall waste management circularity in the world. And then a lot of the resources and the main aspect is around metrics and indicators. We have a number of we have selected from doing really an extensive research across available standards and frameworks, organizations that have produced metrics and indicators in this space and identified those that are relevant per a select number of these outcomes for you to identify what information you need to track your impact performance and then of course manage your performance as well. And we are also always letting you know where did we source these metrics, what are the alignments with these metrics. When we're using glossary terms, we have when we're using like jargon, we're having a glossary linked that you can see what that jargon means and where we are sourcing that term for. We also have a number of curated resources that we think may be relevant for you, and a number of what we call kind of metadata, tags to the metrics and indicators that could indicate a connection with other impact themes, SDG alignment, and other information around the data. So let's see a little bit how this actually looks in practice. I'm sorry for my voice today. So here we have the Iris Plus website. It's iris.thegiin.org. If you go at iris.thegiin.org, you're able to go into this view. And what you will need to do to access the material is build a framework. Click at the top here and build a framework. I've been building a few around waste management circularity as I've been conducting these webinars. So let's build another one. Well, the website will ask you whether you want to start by SDG or impact category. You can do either. I will start by impact category, which is a taxonomy of Iris Plus. We'll select waste and circularity and select this impact theme. Press next. And here at the top, you will see the strategic goals that are specifically developed for this theme. And further down, you will see goals that are linked to this theme, but are developed for other themes. So now we'll just click. You can click any ones that are of interest to you. I will just click for the purpose of this webinar, the ones that were developed specifically for this theme, and go save and view results. By the way, just because I'm on the presenter mode, if you're having questions that in the chat that I'm not seeing, please give me a shout, and I will address those promptly. Otherwise, this is the main view that you will see in Iris Plus and how you are able to interact with the resources and look through the resources. And all the content is organized around these 4 strategic goals. Just in terms of logistics, you click on one of the bookmarks, and then you're in the area where you see the content for this strategic goal. We will come back here as well, but I wanted to just give you this initial view of how the website looks. Are we okay so far? Okay, great. So just to give you the background, how many resources we have gone through and filtered to provide the content that you will see today and that you will explore later on your own on the website. This gives you just part of the background of really how many resources we have researched and selected inputs from to bring you a content that's specifically focused for impact measurement and management. But now let's look at the content itself. And this is the slide where the content is really summarized in a way for waste management and circularity. I described how the content is organized into 4 strategic goals that try to explain what the world can look like at an ideal state. We want minimized waste through circular design principles for products and manufacturing. And this is perhaps the most ambitious of the strategic goals. We want, at the point of manufacturing design of products, to have the least amount of virgin resources, the highest amount of secondary material. But then for existing products and services that have material use, we want optimized resource use through business models that maximize the utility and lifetime extension of products, because that's where the waste is potentially generated, and if we're optimizing that resource use through extending the utility of products so that they serve more than one purposes and there is less need to produce additional products. And as well, if we're extending the lifetime of that product so that it serves that purpose or purposes for longer, then this is also part of that end state picture. But then, of course, there is currently a huge amount of waste, and there's going to be waste generation for the foreseeable future. So we also need an optimized infrastructure for capturing, recycling, and disposing of waste, as well as a need to really look at the justice and equity aspects of resource management across supply chains for all workers, and in particularly with regards to the focus of the content that you will find on the website. We have focused especially on informal waste workers that were identified by the working group as a specifically vulnerable group. So I will come back to this picture, but in the interim, I do want to ask you something else on these strategic goals. Which of these goals do you think can be most impactful? We talked about minimizing waste through circular design principles for product manufacturing. So really having the focus at the design stage of products and manufacturing. We talked about optimizing resource use by extending utility of products and increasing their lifetime span. Then we also spoke about the optimizing infrastructure for waste management in particular, as well as being very cognizant and supportive of good practices and supporting well-being for workers, in particularly waste workers. When you think about waste management circularity, which one of these strategic goals you think could be especially important from an impact perspective? Give you another 10 seconds or so if you want to respond, and then I'll share the results. There's also, I should say, not specifically a right and wrong answer here. Okay, thank you. So that's interesting. Minimize waste through circular design principles for product manufacturing. So focusing at the design and manufacturing stage, and then focusing at waste management. Great, very interesting. I appreciate your responses. I think with this, I will focus some of the material and my focus in the remaining part of the presentation on these two strategic goals, just because there's so much content and it seems that these are the most interesting for the group. But let me know if that's not the case. Happy to adjust. Yes? Sorry, was there a comment? We couldn't hear you. Okay, maybe that's fine. Always feel free to unmute. We're quite a fairly small team that allows for that. Okay. So the two strategic goals that were most of interest or were thought most impactful, at least for your group today, were this first one and the third one. So we can take these as examples. So what are the IRIS Plus resources for the minimized waste through circular design principles for products and manufacturing? Let's go back to the website and see live. So what you see on this overview section, I will discuss first the overview section and the evidence section, and then we'll go back to the presentation for a bit. So in the overview section, you will find a couple of things. First of all, you'll find here on the right a mapping of this strategic goal to the SDGs, the most direct links and indirect links. So for the minimized waste through circular design principles, SDG 9, 11, and 12 are deemed to have the most direct link. You see here, let me go close. Industry, innovation and infrastructure, sustainable citizen communities, and responsible consumption and production. And then there are links to a number of other SDGs as well. But the bigger part of the content you will find here, and you can explore it by just unfolding the content, is narrative sections that explain why this topic is important from an impact perspective, and do so with a number of references and footnotes that you can follow up with, and including a lot of data and statistics for this impact theme because it's the most recent one. These are also fairly recent. So what you can expect to find is a content that will support you in terms of exploring the particular strategic goal, explaining it to stakeholders, articulating it to your stakeholders based on data and statistics and based on a number of references that you can find. And also it supports you in converting the specific strategic goal into a language that is really understandable, especially from an impact investing perspective. And this is why the content here is organized according to the 5 dimensions of impact, which is a common framework that is utilized by impact investors. You may perhaps this is familiar to some of you or most of you, but just quickly, it's the 5 dimensions of impact framework asks what is the problem, what is the issue. So what problem does the investment aim to address? You see here, for example, taking this paragraph, potentially one of the most important in this area. And the problem is that there is a huge amount of virgin material extraction, and this continues to rise. This is in the context of natural reserves and the ability of the environment to reproduce itself. This is excessive. And how are we able to approach this problem? There's a lot of information about what the scale of the problem is, who is affected, for example, workers, ecosystems, consumers, companies, what are the geographic attributes of those that are affected. This especially relevant, for example, in regions where there is a lot of biodiversity and that biodiversity is threatened. So all this information is coming to you in this content with data, in a way that's addressed to an impact investing audience. How are stakeholders, how can stakeholders experience change through investments? This is a particularly important section. What is the particular contributions that investments can make through growing new or undersupplied capital markets, engaging actively, providing flexibly, signaling that impact matters, but specifically in the context of this strategic goal. So, for example, with regards growing new and undersupplied capital markets, funding early stage growth companies in previously unaddressed opportunities, such as design of long-lasting and modular products, exploration of material innovation, development of monomaterial and recyclable components, development of lightweight technologies to reduce material intensity, and applications in biofabrication, biomaterials. So it's these, perhaps depending on your background and your workday, common topics and areas of discussion, but really with detail and content rich and data rich and with references on the strategic goal. So this is the information that you can find for the strategic goal overall. And then let's go into this evidence tab here. In the evidence tab, of course, you saw there is a large number of footnotes that you're able to follow up on, and just here really serve the purpose of making this evidence-based and allowing us to draw on specific data and statistics to relate to you the input. But with the evidence tab, what we're actually looking to do is something else. We're focusing now specifically on peer-reviewed papers that you can follow up here, and you see the citation. And we want to answer the following question. And I'll go a little bit back to my presentation slide here. While we have disaggregated the impact theme, waste management circularity, into 4 strategic goals, each strategic goal we kind of disaggregate further into the outcomes. With outcomes, what we here mean is what are the outcomes that investors and investees can hope to shift, to move, in order for this strategic goal to hopefully become a reality, for them to contribute towards this strategic goal. So for minimized waste through circular design principles for products and manufacturing, we have identified 3 outcomes. One is increasing durability, repairability, and recyclability of products. The other is decreasing total virgin material used in products. And the other is increasing the share of recycled, renewable, and or regenerative inputs in products. So you see the first one is really a design outcome, increasing durability, repairability, and recyclability of products. And the other 2 is more a manufacturing outcome. So in the manufacturing process, to use more recycled, renewable, and regenerative inputs and less virgin materials. And with these outcomes, we are saying the strategic goal of minimized waste through circular design principles for products and manufacturing is supported. And then going back to this evidence map, what we try to do here is kind of back up that assertion with relevant peer-reviewed papers. So for example, decreasing excuse me, total virgin material used in products, we have these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it's a few. We have a number of peer-reviewed papers. For example, methodology and database for the quantification of technical recyclability of electrical and electronic equipment demonstrated on smartphone case study, bioplastic design using multitask deep neural networks, and others. So these are really advanced case studies, methodological papers, or papers that focus on specific aspects of the topic, but really address how minimized waste through circular design principles for products manufacturing is supported by decreasing total virgin material use, increasing share of recycled and renewable or regenerative inputs in products, and increasing durability and repairability and recyclability of products. So you may say that this is kind of obvious, and it may be, but sometimes it's less obvious than not. And also, it's actually supported by evidence. It's supported by research, and to highlight that fact is we feel quite important and hopefully useful to you in case your stakeholders or yourselves in your organization are supported by this type of evidence. Before I go further, I do want to ask another question. Oh, sorry, I didn't share the results before. I apologize, but I spoke through them. It was these two strategic goals, as mentioned, that were the ones selected, and why I'm kind of focusing more on those now. But the question I want to ask next is, yes, to please ask you to consider those four strategic goals if you have them in mind. One was around minimize waste in the point of design of a product and manufacturing. The other is optimized resource use by extending the use cases and extending the lifetime of products. The other is about optimized infrastructure for waste management, and the other is around really centering on just and equitable practices for workers. So I wanted to ask you if you have an opinion, whether you think these are kind of quite well encompassing strategic goals, or whether you feel there is and I'm especially interested in that, whether you feel there's a particularly important aspect that's relevant to waste management circularity that's not captured here. And of course, we don't seek to capture absolutely everything, but it would be great to hear from you if you think so. So gonna leave this a little bit more for you to answer. Please do respond. We just have 36% that has participated. It would be great to have a bit more than 50 if you would like to. We have 45%. I'll leave it a little bit more open. So hopefully another couple of you are able to respond. So the question is if you know whether mostly the topics that are important under waste management circularity are captured in one of these four strategic goals, whether mostly they're not captured in these four strategic goals, or if you don't know. Okay, great. Thanks very much. So would love to open it up and hear your views, especially the areas where you think are not captured by these strategic goals. Or you can also write in the chat. So anyone who thought that these strategic goals mostly do not capture the main aspects of waste management circularity, love to hear from you. So Stephen, thank you. So we have a comment in the chat. Is there a possibility of linking these to carbon credits? Um, so we don't do that linking directly, but if you think Okay, so carbon credits, greenhouse gas emissions avoidance and reductions. This is a metric that is included in the core metric sets for this for most of these strategic goals that I will go on to explain later on. So yes, there is a possibility of linking this to carbon credits, absolutely. And we make that link to avoidance of greenhouse gas emissions explicitly in the resources. Any other topic or area where people were not sure whether that's included or not, or was it mostly about the carbon credits? Okay, thanks very much for that. Let's go back. Maybe I should have put the question in a bit later on. So just given the time, I won't go also over the optimized infrastructure for capturing, recycling, and disposing of waste in such detail, because I really want to show you the core metric sets, which is actually the key resource that RS Plus RS Plus has released with this impact theme. So what is a core metric set? The core metric set is a set of metrics and indicators and related usage guidance and calculation guidance to really support you now with kind of measurement and selecting data and bringing this into decision making and reporting. And we have selected a specific outcome, one per each strategic goal, to develop a core metric set around. So for the minimized waste through circular design principles for products manufacturing, the core metric set, I will show you how it looks in the website, but just to give you already a broad view about the metrics and indicators that are relevant, we have found to be relevant and important for measuring against minimizing waste through circular design principles for products manufacturing, specifically with regards to increasing durability, repairability, and recyclability of products. So these resources are also structured around the 5 dimensions of impact. Then the first view is around what is the problem and how can we measure against effectiveness versus that problem. So that specific topic that most of you mentioned is very important to you, performance measurement. If you're looking to increase durability and repairability and recyclability of products, then we suggest to you that the key outcome indicators that you would want to have in mind are two. One is the actual lifetime indicator, and the other is the percentage of recyclable materials in product composition. And there is a number of metrics that are required to calculate these values that you see here on the right. So I'm guessing that there's a lot of questions about what these metrics and indicators are, and there's many more, but just to quickly show you how you'll be able to address some of those questions as you have them when you go through the resources. I'm going to go back into the website. And then to look at the metrics and indicators, I will go onto the core metric set tab here. And under the what dimension, you will see the two indicators that I showed you before, the product actual lifetime, and also the percentage of recyclable materials in product composition. So there are two areas that is important to keep in mind as you read through this material. One is the area on the left, which shows you a list of the metrics that you need data for in order to calculate the indicator. So here is actually just one metric, the product actual lifetime. But for the case of the percentage of recyclable materials in product composition, there are three metrics: mass of product, recyclability status, recyclable mass of products. And then the other area is the right-hand side, which is the formula and calculation guidance. In both cases, this will tell you how to think around using data to really come towards a value that will be meaningful and will reflect, in this case, the product actual lifetime. So you may ask, what is the product actual lifetime? Or what is any of these? What is the mass of product? What is recyclability status and recyclable mass of product? And how you can answer this question is by clicking on the link. So every RS Plus metric will have you will be able to click on and initially come to this view, which gives you a very broad view of the metric. Product actual lifetime is the average duration a product remains in functional use before being discarded, replaced, or retired. So this reflects the actual lifespan of the product. Here, it's important to say the actual lifespan because it's not a design lifespan. It's not a lifespan that a designer thought, okay, these are the design features, and this will be the lifespan that this product will have given the design features. And then in use, there is a number of practical aspects that actually make the actual lifespan different than the design lifespan. So this is why the word actual here is actually very has a specific meaning. And you can look at further information by, again, just to show you by clicking View Metric Details. And there is what we call a metric landing page here, that you have the same information at the top, but what you really want to look at potentially is two things. Well, all these there's information everywhere, but to start with, on the usage guidance, there is a lot of information about what this metric is intended to capture and reflect, and then very, very specific methodological information. So use years or use number of cycles, using years when time is the main driver of wear, degradation, and replacement, such as with furniture. Use number of cycles when performance or durability depends on how often or intensely the product is used. So washing machines, batteries, and others. And further down, you will find the alignments. So which are the other known standards that utilize this metric, so that you can look further for your reference into those. Moreover, if for your framework SDG alignment and mapping is important, for us it is, then under this section here, you will see a mapping at the SDG target level now. Before, there was a mapping at the SDG goal level, and now when we go into the metrics per se, there is a more granular mapping at the SDG target level. And on the right-hand side, you will see granular information of how to understand and really generate the information. In this case, you need to first understand the product being evaluated, calculate the product's actual lifespan using the metric usage guidance that we saw in this landing page. You also need to identify the industry average lifetime for comparable products. This is, for many product categories, this information is available by industry associations and bodies. It will be different, obviously, for different products. And then you calculate the actual lifetime indicator by dividing the actual product lifetime by the estimated industry average lifetime. And there's information of how to then interpret this ratio, and further information on the alignment here. Are there any questions regarding, well, anything really, or comments, but specifically around how to look at the metrics and indicators? Okay, that's good, I think. And I'm going to go back to the presentation, because what I would like to do um, in the next, and we'll leave 5 minutes again in case there are comments towards the end. And I do have another question, another poll for you. And uh, please, I mean, I think maybe some of that is resolved as we go in the content. But if you did feel, some of you suggested that the 4 strategic goals are not encompassing some important aspect of waste management circularity, please do share your views. These views are very important, and we're very welcome to learn and grow with your experiences. So really welcome your feedback there. But what I want to do just in the next section is to note that, as well as having these kind of two very important recommendations in terms of the outcome indicators that are important to keep in mind for this outcome. And this is the same structure. So whatever strategic goal you look at, when you look at the core metric set, this you will see what dimension and the selected outcome indicators and Iris Plus metrics, and how to think about it and go about learning more and identifying the data you need and interpreting the data you need. But we also have then a how much dimension. And here we have thought about how do we look at the scale of the issue and the depth of the issue in terms of how important it is for stakeholders that are affected, how important it is when we really invest in activities and invest our own resources in advancing these outcomes. So these are more kind of trend indicators, and as you see here, for this specific outcome, we have the percentage change in the actual lifetime indicator. So it's the calculation we did in earlier, but now how is that moving across time? And also the percentage change of recyclable materials in product manufacturing. So again, the outcome indicator, but how does it shift through time, as well as the number of people benefiting from increased product lifetime and recyclability. There is a lot of information how you could go about identifying those. We always have some indicators that are specifically focused around stakeholders. These are invariant, so what you see here and is the same across all strategic goals in Iris Plus. So we just provide some standard categories that hopefully support you in thinking through stakeholder typologies, characteristics, and helping you through with the guidance, identifying what information may be important in your specific setting. And then this is also I want to spend a little bit of time on. How is change happening? And I'll just show you where you can find this. Sorry, there is a chat. A serious problem of lack of industry comparison in Uganda. Yes, thank you, Stephen, for identifying that. And in a way, we do hope that our resources are part of this effort to improve comparability. So going on to the website, you see here the different sections. What for the core metric set, metrics indicators under the what dimension, under the who dimension that we just saw, under the how much dimension that we also saw very briefly. There are no metrics and indicators under contribution and risk because we think these are not really captured by single metrics and indicators. And then the how is change happening is here. And I will speak to this through the presentation a bit more, because I think that's quite important. Because it gives a different approach to the topic. So whereas in the what dimension, we try to really find outcome indicators that really speak to um, the end effect of whatever activity or process you have in place to support increasing durability, repairability, and recyclability of product. So you can think of the actual lifetime indicator. So really the lifetime of a product as it is experienced by users, consumers in practice versus the average lifetime of similar products in the industry. That's an outcome, and there are many different pathways, many different activities that an organization or investor could try to pursue in order to improve the actual lifetime indicator. So it's in this sense that the actual lifetime indicator is very much an outcome focused indicator. And then the how is change happening is going a little bit further upstream and tries to provide metrics and indicators to support your work in terms of what pathway are you taking towards supporting that change. So, for example, you may be focused on increasing the products with repair resources, because if you have repair resources, you're supporting uh, extended lifetimes, or increasing the number of products with modular design, or with recyclability excuse me, with recyclability certifications, or with extended warranties. Uh, and here as well, to the point made earlier, and perhaps the topic that some feel was not covered, it is covered: greenhouse gas emissions avoided. So this is speaking more to intermediate aspects, as well as again some outcome focused indicators. And it's the same as before. You see all the IRIS Plus metrics that you can see on the website that you need to understand the percentage of products with repair resources, for example, and you will see definitions, glossary terms, you will see links to the original sources of the particular metrics that you can follow up with, and so on. Let me just pause a bit and ask if there are any questions on what we discussed. If not, I'm just going to take another couple of minutes to go through specifically the metrics and indicators for the other strategic goal that you said is important for you, or important for the world. And this was optimized infrastructure for capturing, recycling, and disposing of waste. Again, here we have a number of different outcomes that we have identified as being those that investors and investees can really incrementally support shifting in order for the strategic goal of really having optimized infrastructure for capturing, recycling, disposing of waste to become a reality, so that we can contribute towards that goal. And specifically, improving capability of recycling infrastructure is the one outcome that we have a core metric set for. Let's go to that. Here we are. So what are the outcome indicators? And now, hopefully, there is a bit of fluency in the room around the resources that you can find on IRIS Plus, and in particularly around how to think of locating the metrics and indicators and relevant resources there. So what are the outcome indicators for improving capability of recycling infrastructure that the working group and the process arrived at? One is mass of input material. converted into usable recycled output. So this is again an outcome focused indicator, right? So it's not just input material going into a recycling infrastructure and system, but it is the mass of that input material that has been converted into usable recycled output. And the other outcome indicator is recycling yield percentage, which requires the input mass to recycling operation and the mass of input material converted into usable recycled output. So it's a ratio. It's a further modification of the first outcome indicator. And let's perhaps go back to the website to answer quickly some questions around that may have arisen around that again. And just to exhibit the website, you would go to optimized infrastructure for capturing, recycling, and disposing waste. You're interested in the core metric set, and there are other the illustrative investments we haven't covered, but this is a bit straightforward. And the resources is to a number of other relevant resources. And again, we're not seeking to really answer everything with the work we do, but we hope to answer some very important gaps that exist. But if you're looking at the metrics indicators, and that's the most important resource from our perspective, you will go to the core metric set and you will go here. So let's, for example, look at the recycling yield percentage. You see here the data, input mass to recycling operation, mass of input material converted into usable recycled output. It's a simple ratio in terms of the calculation guidance, but you may want to look further into each of the usage guidance for further information and align standards, and really take it from there. So with that, I wanted to ask one final question, which is, I think you have now a pretty good idea, hopefully, about the breadth of the resources, waste management circularity, what it covers, and also what it doesn't cover, and how you can navigate those, and perhaps in what aspects of your own work this can be supportive. It would be great if you would please take a minute to respond to this question. How likely are you to visit the IRIS Plus resources on waste management circularity in the future? 1 being highly unlikely and 5 being highly likely. We have 45% that have answered. If you could just make another couple of clicks. Okay, great. And just because we're on time as well, I'm sorry, I'm end this poll and share the results with you. And thank you very much for your participation. I really appreciated your time and your thoughtfulness with and engagement with the chat and also with the poll quizzes. And if there are any questions, please reach out to me. Have a lovely day. Thank you.